Hey everyone, it's time for Geocache Talk. Whether at work, in the car, wherever you are, we hope you enjoy the show. Please give it a like and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, TuneIn Radio, or Google Play. You get all the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. Big thanks to the Travel Bugs for the music and our patrons, Demon Hunter 2, Aggie Jedi Master, Electric Water Boy, and Teus is back with us again. So Antaeus got even though he had to leave us for a while, patron wise, he's back. I put him back in his original spot. So if you ever have to leave, we'll put you back where you were. So that was his location. It was right there. After Electric Water Boy and before Joshua, the geocaching vlogger, Nick at Cashley, One Kind Word, Ravenclaw Tia, Shermanator 18, Butterfly Girl, Loon Trackers, the Aussie Geocacher, Sodak Zach, the Deadliest Cachers, Terrell 2, Neil Moore, Molly the Geocaching Dog, Team D&D, Geocaching Adam, Peachy 1276, the No Code Geocachers, Curiosity Girl, Tick Magnet, Marsipanic, Bricker John, Firesafe, FS Sabero, Geo Rick, Cache Addict Mel, Geocaching Janji, the Geocaching Junkie, Sir Drumalot, Janice, Tricasius, Tom Frey, Rugels, the Bruce Zero, EGK PBR, Casamaya, Master Sergeant USMC, Little Gears, Albedo 0.39, and our new patron, It's Only Barney. I love these names that people have for geocaching. If you'd like to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com/geocache talk for more details. Patrons get path tags, coins, and other geocaching swag during the year, as well as invites to special events. And we'll schedule another one of our geocaching Jeopardy sometime. We did that recently for our patrons, and that was great fun. Support levels start at as little as $3 a month. Well, we got a big show tonight, so let me get started by welcoming my co-host, Jesse.
Good evening. Glad to finally be back.
And he's back from this trip and from our week of Super Bowl. Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it actually turned out, and this is not a show about the Super Bowl, obviously, but
No.
it turned out a lot better,
Right.
And it's always fun to root against some people.
So, absolutely.
Without getting off on that topic,
right.
It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It was a good, close game, and it was an enjoyable game.
Well, it's for us. It's fun. I'm dating myself. I've watched them since Super Bowl V, and I know Tick Magnet was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so
that
sorry."
That makes you like 100.
I know it does. That it.
In Roman numerals, that makes you like 100.
I was a very small boy. Okay.
Sure.
Very, very, very. But I remember that game sort of. So anyway, but it's a big. And I'm trying to explain to people. A lot of people international. Again, we love all our international listeners. Love all you guys out there in all parts of the world. But the Super Bowl becomes sort of like a party. We were at a party. We were at my son's house, and it was full of people, and we're having good food and a lot of joking around. We're laughing at the commercials. That's another big thing about the Super Bowl is watching the crazy commercials. And anyway, so it's fun, and we're going to talk about the geocaching oracle later and what we've learned from that. But anyway, we got to jump into this. We had good response, by the way, but that's all I'm going to say about that. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. We're going to jump right into show 85 for February 11th as we talk about geocaching and trip planning. And so it's kind of like what you should do. And then we're also going to talk about, because we're not a 101. We're never a 101 show. We're like a 401 show. We're always talking about the advanced.
Look at that.
Right? We're a 401. We're senior level podcast here.
Senior, so, hey, easy.
Okay, maybe not senior. We're not there yet, baby. Junior level.
Junior, yeah.
Right. But we want to talk about also, because we've all made plans and we go, yeah, that fell through. And so we'll talk about that too. But before that, we're going to do a little news. And more, this is more not news, this is more of a tease, but talk to Chris Williamson, the director of Treasure. And there's some big news coming out soon about Treasure. So I can't talk about it, but it's big and it's really cool. It's a very big positive for the movie Treasure. So stay tuned. We can all be a part, by the way. In fact, he wanted me to reach out to everyone to let them know that when this big news hits, he really needs the geocaching community to come together and help him with this project or thing that he's doing. And so that's all I can say at this point about that. I got an update this week from our buddy John, who's AMS Travel Sales, and he sent me some notes, and so I want to just kind of briefly mention a couple things about it. The cruise, the caching the waves, the one that's going up to Alaska, and also he set that up. It's a lot of great geocaching is going to occur during that trip, but he wanted to let you know it's about sold out. And so if you thought about doing this trip, you better think really hard, and you better make a decision, because
I'm thinking about it.
All right, okay,
can't do it. No,
can't do it. Yeah,
I'm just dreaming about it.
Right. Well, all of us could dream, but yeah, if you're really thinking about like putting down money, a deposit to go, the rooms are still available. And the ones with the geocaching package, he's got them. Of course, he does it. He's got a cheaper deal through Geocache Talk for our listeners. It's $26.28 is for that whole trip, and so it's a massive savings, because if you were to go, just try to like book this cruise without going through John and AMS Travel Sales, it'd be $5,800. So you're cutting down half the cost. Nice. Plus, he's got all the extra perks that he does with that, and you're going to be involved with all the geocaching and all that. So now here's the trick: you got to do this by the 15th of this month. You need to do. Oh my gosh! You got to do something. Yeah, he's got to know that you want to do it, and he can get you the room with that kind of savings. If not, I mean, you can still get the room later, but you're not going to save what you could possibly save. So there's that.
Is that the price for one person or two people?
That's a great question.
And I know we talked about it already, but the whole geocaching on the cruise, it would be so much easier to do it this way. I can't wait to do it this way, as opposed to what I've done, where you just go off and get lost and stuff.
Hey, we just got a new patron, by the way. Isn't that cool?
Oh, wow.
Oh. Michelle Rosenau. I probably messed that name up. I'm very sorry. I'm bad at name.
While you're looking that up, didn't Ashley release their new 4.0 this week?
They did. Talk about that for a minute. That's pretty cool. I actually contacted him because there's something on it that I kind of didn't want, which is the landscape thing, but he told me how to fix that. So,
but you can lock it, right?
Yeah, you can lock it. I should have known that. Duh.
I had to re-download a few things when I got a new phone, and I saw that then, the new release. I was like, yes. I've been playing around with it a little bit since then. So, of course, we kind of talked about it recently. All the stuff that was going to be in it. Of
course, we were way ahead. We were ahead of the game on that one. Yeah, that's what Geocache Talk does. It gets you ahead of the game.
I'm obsessive about doing all the app updates. I don't know if you are. Like the little red circle. No, I have it on my phone. Yeah, but usually when you get the app updates, it's like, minor bug fixes, blah, blah, blah. Every time Nick puts out another one of those, it's like a page long. You have to hit the more button, right? The whole new updates on it.
Read all that is big. I mean, I had to put on two separate photos. I tweeted about it, but you can't even do it in one. Although, of course, Daryl W4 did, because he's the gadget guy, so he figured out how to do it, because that's why we love him.
I got to have fun playing with Cashly and GC Droid last weekend simultaneously. So,
yeah, we can talk about that here in a minute. Yeah. I'm not finding it, but I will. Here it is. Duh, it's right there, Gary. It says it's for 2.
Okay. That's what they were saying in the chat room. So I didn't want to give everybody the wrong price.
No, you're right. Yeah. He said, Caching the Waves. It's almost sold out right now. The cheapest room for 2 available through the cruise. Yeah, it's a balcony, $5,800. Yeah, but you can get one of his rooms, and so there we go. All right,
there you go.
That's good. Good question, Jesse. That's why We're such a good team.
There you go.
Okay, another news item, and not really going to talk about much time tonight because we have so much going on tonight. But Nathan Lewis, they went on a trip out to Yuma, and I was talking to him earlier. And I said, "Hey, I'm going to mention your trip on the show." And he's like, "Oh, that's really cool." So, probably didn't say in
that voice.
I have a voice. I don't. Hey, Gary, that was really cool, man. Something like that. Sorry, Nathan. But he sent me a note on what they were doing, and he said months of planning has come down to this 6-week road trip from Chattanooga, Tennessee, to the West Coast back to Tennessee. And it gives the route. The goal is to find at least one physical cache in each county that we drove through, and then. Upon completion of the trip, our contiguous adjacent counties extends from Atlanta to the Pacific is his plan. So he wants to have a county that stretches from the Atlantic all the way to the Pacific. So this was his goal. This was his trip plan.
There is a challenge out there for that.
Is it really? Oh, cool.
Yep.
We'll have to tell him about that. But
I'm sure he knows. If he's a county, he knows about it.
Yeah. And he mentioned some other caches, hiking to the Hollywood sign. There's a cache up there. GCQC55. It's going to go to the southwesternly point in the 48, the lower 48, because Susan and I've been to one in Hawaii. It's further, but in the U.S. Non-Alaska and Hawaii, it's GC2DYC9. And so anyway, so that was really cool. I thought that was appropriate since we're talking about trip planning.
I've heard the Yuma trip, the Yuma Mega is one of the best too.
Yeah, we gotta get out to that one sometime because it does sound really cool, and there's some really cool things they do out there.
Mm-hmm. They usually have at least one event across the border, so you get to pick up also.
Yeah, he mentioned that. In fact, he asked Cashley about offline lists and said, "Whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? Something is happening."
Well, hello.
It's Sodak Zach, our man at the cache.
It's been a while, guys.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, last week would have been a little awkward to try to have you do because you were at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been happy to do it, but the feed probably would have been sketchy with the terrible reception with so many people in town.
Yeah, that's all we need is the NFL suing us.
Yeah. we would have had the most watched show. I'll bet you that kid that was on during the halftime show, I'll bet you he was looking for a geocache nearby when Justin Timberlake came over.
He was. That's what I heard. He was trying to complete the virtual that's there, I think, right?
Actually, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do right after this. Is I'm gonna go Photoshop an image of like the Cashly app on his phone screen.
Right. Perfect.
And put that on one of the geocaching Facebook pages. Right.
That's awesome. Yeah, we even talked about just the fact that we did a whole Super Bowl thing before you got on, but you know, it's a big event. I know for you. Is that the first one you ever been to?
Yes, probably the last.
It was probably pretty insane though, because just the experience.
It was amazing. Like, I mean, it's the Super Bowl. My parents bought it. It's obviously really close to where I live. It's only a few hours away, and so my dad got the tickets from a friend of a friend that he knew, and we got them cheaper than what you're hearing online, at least. So that was nice. Wow. But it was a once in a lifetime experience. We were hoping the Vikings would be in it, but I mean, nonetheless, like, to be at the Super Bowl is really cool. So
you can't pass up that opportunity.
And I couldn't pass up the opportunity to bring a GeoCoin along. The Geocache Talk GeoCoin. I wanted to bring a little bit of you guys with me.
Well, it was awesome. Yeah, we felt like we were there. I mean, there we were in coin form. It was perfect.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about a couple things tonight. We'll talk about your trip, your big trip planning, but I think you're going to talk a little bit of trip planning today. So what happened today in your trip planning?
Yeah, well, so I figured, for those that don't know, on Wednesday, I'm taking off to go to Malaysia and Japan for 2 weeks.
Woohoo!
So, quite the trip. I'm super excited. Yes, I'm geocaching every morning.
That's awesome.
The nice thing about this trip is it's actually not like a big tour trip. We're kind of going there and we don't really know what we're doing. We're just gonna get there and see what there is to do. So,
oh, that's awesome.
While they're all deliberating in the morning, I'm just gonna say I'm fine with whatever you choose. I'm gonna go for a run. Wink, wink.
Right. With my Cashly app.
Yeah, so I thought tonight would be a good idea to come practice. Mm-hmm. When you're traveling, you got to be really quick. Sometimes you got to get the easy caches. So I figured I'd practice and see, hey, can I just on a whim go get a quick cache that's near, like no matter how far away it is,
or how cold.
Yeah,
how cold it is.
It's pretty cold, so I hope my phone doesn't crap out on me
here. Right. I'll let you keep going. I'll stop interrupting you, but man, it looks cold out there, buddy.
Yeah, but I have a problem. So I get to my first cache here.
Uh-oh.
And I'm super excited because it's like it's an LPC and everything. I'm ready to just quickly grab it, sign it, and be done. And look what happened.
Oh no. That thing is buried.
That is a cold skirt lifter.
Ain't that the truth? And
you can go around it. There's no getting it, guys. So no. I might have to do what us travel cachers do. I might have to dig into a plan B here.
Oh, there you go. Good thinking.
You know what you got to do. If you don't get this one and that's the one you're planning on, especially me, it's doubly important because I have a streak going on.
That's right. Oh.
I have to go get the nearest cache. So, do you mind if I call back in a little bit?
No, man.
Phone warm up? Find a different one.
Absolutely. Call back in and let us know if you find get your plan B working.
Yeah, awesome. I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, Zach.
So that actually happens a lot here in Colorado.
Right, because they bury the skirt because it's like let's clear most of the parking lot and let's just leave a pile of snow. Yeah,
I actually keep a fold up shovel in my Jeep just for that.
There you go. As so Bruce Zero mentioned in the chat room, he's like, you need a small mobile shovel tot. That's good thinking.
Yeah, you can fold it up. It folds up to like a foot, like a foot tall. So it's pretty good. It's like the old Boy Scout shovels.
Yeah. Geocaching Adam basically saying, just dig in. That's normal here. Well, yeah. But see, for the theme of the night, we needed a plan B type thing happening here. So it worked out great. So, all right. So
last thing before we get into we got to get to our webcam watch. So
it's very sad.
I know it's sad, but we got to do it every week. We got to keep up with it. We are down to 114 active webcams in the U.S. now.
Oh my gosh!
It has gone down a lot in the last couple months.
Substantially, yeah. We have to go back through the notes and see, but
I'm scary to. It's scary to think that by the summer it may be under 100.
Well, the one down by Electric Water Boy, the one at the Alamo, of course, it's gone. It was there for long. I mean, it was a very old and well done. It's gone. So they're starting to disappear.
They really are. They're not staying disabled for long, and the reviewers are right on top of it. If somebody's, because you'll see some of them, and it's been down for a while, and people are just taking selfies at the location.
Yeah,
they're jumping on top of that, and they're putting the kibosh on those pretty quickly now.
Yeah, that's sad. All right. Well, thank you for that update. Well, let's get into some trip planning here. So, mostly we're going to talk about your latest trip because I think you did some great trip planning. We'll talk about what happened there, but let's start at the beginning, which is you put in the notes about defining your goals. So what do we want to do with that?
Yeah. So usually when you're doing a road trip, and at least for me, I don't go by myself most of the time. It's usually one other person at least. Right. We've done them where there's a group of us. My most recent one was just one other guy and me went for the road trip, which is great because he's a buddy that I cache with anyway. We cache all the time, and he's really good at planning. I'm not a good planner. I'm just like, let's go right now and leave and figure it out on the way.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. That doesn't turn out great for geocaching, though.
Uh-oh. Oh, he's back.
Zach back.
Zach.
Yeah, I'm quick, guys. Sorry to interrupt you, Jesse.
No, you're fine.
You're just starting your tangent. And I know those can go on for a while, but it's cold out here, man.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah, I was gonna look up how cold it is out there, but it's But keep going.
It's been like -15, -20 for
the
whole last like couple months, it seems. We get little flashes above 0, but it's been brutal.
Hardy weather.
So I'm at a nearby cache here, so it's just a few blocks away,
not bad.
Basically a 1/10 of a mile away.
Yep.
And I mean, it's your Plan B cache, and again, when you're traveling, sometimes you just got to go for easy, especially if you got a streak going. You got to just quickly run out, grab a quick one. So this one is actually pretty cool. So it's up on this sign, but usually they're tucked behind here, right?
Yeah, right.
This one's actually red and right up on the face here.
Oh, nice.
Oh, smart thinking there. Wow.
And this is a practice cache for me to practice for my trip, practice a nice quick run out here.
That's right.
I always enjoy seeing these because you can drive by and it's right on the face of a sign that people look at every day, and nobody notices the geocache right there.
That's the best.
Yeah.
Was that hidden in there? How? Oh, is there a hole? Where? Show. Put it.
It's a magnet, and I'm just gonna
put it back real quick. Oh, okay.
Put it.
So
you
it
can
just
see it.
Yeah. Okay. If I can see it now, but if you're not looking for it, you're not going to see it. So
it's funny because I drive by it all the time, and I'm like, look, there's a geocache right there. And a lot of times people are like, what? How did you see that? And I said, I've seen them before, and they just put them right on the face of the sign there. And I hopped in my car where it's a little warm.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, right on the yield sign. That was perfect.
Apparently, according to the chat room, that's called a TSC.
What's that?
Traffic sign cache.
Oh yeah, probably.
I like that.
A new acronym that we can add to the quiz.
TSC.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we'll hear that one again. That sounds like a good Jeopardy question.
That's a good Jeopardy question.
Hey, well, I'm gonna head home, guys.
Yep.
If you don't mind, I can hop on and talk a little bit about the trip I have coming up and listen to your tips that you guys might have for me. But I'll get home and see you in a little bit.
Yeah, do it for the warmth.
Definitely jump back on. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about also your full upcoming show later on. But we'll hear about Malaysia a little bit. So yeah, definitely. We'll see you in a little bit.
Absolutely. See you later, guys.
All right. See you, Zach. So jumping backwards, I got a buddy that's better at planning than me. So if you're not a good planner and you like doing big extreme trips like this, at least one of you in the group needs to be a good planner, because we've had some, just like he was talking about. Then we've had to do some backups. So what we do is when we have 2 or more people, everybody will kind of say, here's what I really want out of this trip.
Right.
So for me, I love challenges because it just sets me up for the next 6 months of a way to tailor my caching. Mm-hmm. So if I'll look for, big challenges or whatever in the area. My buddy is a big county hunter, so he wants to hit every county we can get near. Right. So both of those cause problem. Well, webcams, obviously,
Right. Oh yeah.
So you don't get the challenge, you don't get it, right? So you can do something else in there. But if you miss one, like Zach was just showing you, and we had this coming up, if you miss one and that's the only one you picked out in the county, you've got to scramble all of a sudden to find. So it's good to have a backup one.
That's for sure.
But if you're close to the Fizzies, or if you're doing Jasmer, or 366, or any of the oldest caches in the state, whatever your goals are, find all those and put do a list. And whether you use Cache or GC Droid, do a good list before you go. Then you know everything that's in the area, and then add everything else to it. Right? You just want to cache while you're there, but you hate to do this big road trip, get back home, and go, oh, I was like 100 yards away from like some rare cache that I really needed for something, and I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Well, that can be pretty rough.
Yeah, it can be. It's a geocaching regret, which I have one, which was our trip when we tripped to Denver. Obviously, we got Mingo, but we forgot to go get Arikari or Arikari, as some people call it, or whatever. And it always shows up on my list of, hey, you should go get this one. It's like, yeah, I know, I should have gotten that one. It was a mistake of mine, but anyway, so yeah, so that's really, And the combination, since we're, like you said, we're a 301 show, it's the combination that takes time and planning, because you want to be able to do you probably have multiple goals. Like you said, you have multiple goals. When you were down last year for the Texas Challenge, we ran all over Dallas Fort Worth doing different things. We did old caches.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we found some that were Jasmer worthy.
Oldest in the state, and Jasmer ones.
Did the oldest in the state, which it wasn't really part of what you needed. You were completing Jasmer. You were completing your 5,000th cache that time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a bunch of I signed a bunch of 5-5 challenges that I can't actually claim yet, but my name's on the log because I was there. So
that's the best way. Now you have something to shoot for. Yeah.
But what's funny about that was, like you said about planning, some of those were really simple. Some of them weren't that easy.
No.
The final, even though they weren't, the difficulty in the terrain was kind of wonky with the old challenges, because you had to find, say, whatever. I don't know. I give an example of one of them that you might remember.
Exactly what you're talking about, the 5-5 challenge. So the big one that I wanted to complete while we were down there was find 10 5-5s in Texas. I don't live in Texas, right? So I found some passing through before and on previous visits, but I think we had to find like 5 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a few challenges you can pick up. That's the old challenges, like 366 challenge or something like that, where it says 5-5, but there's really not a bad terrain to it. Yeah. But a couple of them we picked up were tree climbs and some other stuff. So and we didn't have any backups, so we had to find all the ones on that list for me to be able to sign that other one.
Right.
Or I had to wait until I came back or whatever. But we went back to that tree climb a couple times.
Yeah. We went, we did it almost at night, and the night one was a little brutal, so we had to go back. We were climbing wrong trees that night, but
I think one of them was the Jasmer, which I just finished while we were down there. So
and that's something interesting too, because you got to use all your skills, and this is something that comes about with these kind of things too. Is we were out there, and of course we were foolish enough to periscope it, thinking, "Oh yeah, look at us, we're really good at this." And we're periscoping, and it's like 30 minutes go by, and people are just laughing at us. I think they're laughing at us, Jesse, about this. But until your wife suggested, "Hey, stupid guys, you need to go back and read the description," and then we found it finally. So
but it worked out. We finally found it. But
that was critical, because, like you said, that is a Jasmer month that you had to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's something with Jasmer for a whole other show. But I mean, there's times where your trip planning, you may not have a backup. So you've got to really do what we didn't do what we did not do, which was really read, if you're down to this one cache that you got to have. For example, I know you can talk some about the counties y'all ran into, but you've got to have a little bit of backup if you can.
Oh yeah, if there is a backup, it's good. Like if you're going for numbers, or if you're going for counties or anything like that, it's good to have a backup, or even a state. If you're trying to dip over into another state real quick, it's good to have at least one and then a backup.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary too. So he loves counties, and he's great for doing that. And we were even able to adjust and take a slightly different route back and pick up another 5 or 6 extra counties. We zigzagged going up through the state of Kansas.
Right.
But the first one in the county may not be a physical.
That's
true.
You're
really taking a gamble when it's an earth cache or a virtual, right? Because the answer could be wrong. So you get all the way back, and then if you're a county chaser, and I think we have some in there in the chat room, if you're a county chaser, and he still gives me, this guy I went on a trip to Utah with, he still gives me crap because we messed up one of ours, and now on the map he's got a whole red map for all the counties, and then one little white dot right in the middle. It's in the middle of nowhere, right? So the only reason to go back through there is to get that county. We're trying to do a virtual, like an earth cache or whatever, and then a backup physical to go with it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and then the owner goes, nope, that's no good. You weren't there or whatever, or I didn't like your answer. And then you're missing a county, so that's no good.
Yeah, and that's something you're talking about. Like what he could do though is he might be able to plan to go get get the white spot on his list, but he might be able to combine that with whatever he's also working on, something else maybe.
Right.
I don't know what state was that in that he has the white
Utah.
spot.
So we were going out for one of the Jasmers early on, and we made it through one of the remote counties with hardly anything in it. Mm-hmm. Turned out the one we got was not quite across the line.
Oh my!
So, oops. But we have to go back. I got to go back to get a cache out there anyway on the western side of Utah, so we'll drive through that way.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, there's challenges that come up that you can kind of keep an eye out for. Project GC is great for looking for challenges that you want.
Somebody mentioned rare DTs. That's a good one too to look for.
Yes, absolutely.
Sometimes they're hard if you're doing loops of fizzies and
double fizzy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I even got one there. I'm working on the double Jasmer, and I picked up a couple there that were helpful for that. And you may not be back around those anytime soon. So that is good. I mean, everybody seems to have a different list in the chat room too. Virtuals, puzzles, whatever they want to get, challenges.
Oh gosh, yeah, puzzles. Yeah, there's some cool stuff you can do with that just on its own. But yeah, that is awesome. So go ahead.
One thing I would say is so on my previous trip before this one, I went out of the way, and this was just with my family, right? So this was not a geocaching trip. But even when you're going on a trip, you have a couple saved in Cachely that you're like, if I get close to this on this trip, I'm going over to get it. Right. I had a nice 5.5 old 5.5 challenge cache for lonely caches. You got to find a certain number of lonely caches, except I didn't do good research.
Okay.
And I get there, I go and sign it. I'm getting ready to log it and put a big thing in, and it's lonely caches only in that state. I'm like, it was a state that I'm not from. And you get all the way there and sign that. I'll never go back and find 100 lonely caches in that state.
Right. Hey, Zach. Good to have you back on.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yep. I got to see your memorabilia. That's cool.
Oh, look at that. Rub it in. Rub it in.
Yeah, there he is.
No, but there's the coin.
Yay.
Geocache talk.
Was that the Super Bowl?
They made it into the Super Bowl.
Cool. All right, we'll come to you in a moment here. Talk about your planning. One thing, and you can comment on as we go. One thing I want to show for people, because this came up in a email that I got about taking advantage of the attributes to try to do certain things with that. So I'm going to do a screen share, and I want to we can talk about something on Project GC, and I think that Electric Water Boy's in the chat room, so I think he can probably help us from a GStack standpoint. So EWB, I might have to call on you maybe for the GStack equivalent. But so the question came up about setting up filters based on like if basically he's trying to make a trip. And this is very similar, Jesse, you're talking about counties. Mm-hmm. And you don't really care what it is because you're just trying to roll through counties as fast as you can. So he's wanting park and grab, but he wants to filter a list out so that he can have a nice list that he can put into hopefully Cachely or GC Droid or whatever he's using. Mm-hmm. But there's something on Project GC. I'm sure there's something in GSAC, but I'm not sure because I'm not really a GSAC person. I'm a Project GC person. But I want to show you guys, and there's a custom filter options that you can create in Project GC. And there's one that you can do called PGC Easy Grab. And you can go edit and you make it do what you want it to do. But if you see, once this thing updates, here we go, edit. So this is something we were talking about before. Is you can go into attributes, and there's all your attributes. And so you can actually add as required or add as not allowed. So you could do all sorts of different types of conditions for your filter so that you're looking for. And some people, this is another thing. I don't know, Jesse, if you ever thought about trying to complete every attribute. There's
I've done that.
Have you done every attribute? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
except for lost and found.
Right.
So I hadn't had the opportunity for that one. I don't even know if it shows up in there, does it?
It shows up here.
There it is down there. Yeah.
Lost and found. But the trick is that most people, I don't think you can put that on there unless you really have.
You can't.
Yeah.
Now or the partnership cache.
Yeah, partnership cache is rough too.
And that other one too, the Geo Tour, the one right above that.
Geo Tour. Something I will do just out of, and as a cache owner, is I'll do stuff like no tree climb. So I'll do a do not, put an X through the little do not sign through it.
Yeah, the negatives.
The negative, because two things. Number one, it isn't a tree climb. I don't want you climbing trees out there. But if you're looking for that attribute, there's a cache you can go find that I've done that I've created that you can go, So I try to do some do nots, just to kind of add those in case people are looking for some attributes, because you don't see those that often out there.
Yeah, and there's challenges out there to get all the positive attributes and all the negative attributes.
Right.
Most of them usually exclude the lost and found attribute, but
right.
What is there, like 105 total if you have the positive and negatives?
That sounds right.
So yeah, it's important to use those negative ones as well.
Yep. And there's the chat room rolling along.
The chat room mentioned too, one thing about planning and getting everything planned is you're always near other caches. And it's hard to go, hey, look, there's 10 more around.
No, you ignore those.
We're just going to leave those here. We're not going to get them, you know? But
stay on mission. You got to stay on track.
And depending on what your target is, if you're just going for numbers, you can just grab everything that's around you and you're just going to go through an area and get everything you can and clear out an area. But if you're wanting certain things and have a limited time, it's sometimes you have to say no. That's it. I'm not going to go after that one. I'm going to go back, get back on my track. So
that's a different thing. So Zach, for your trip for Malaysia and Japan, what is there anything particular that you have identified that you're going to try to do while you're there, or?
Yeah. So the biggest thing, the first step I did is I made sure to schedule an event in each country.
Okay.
Smart.
Just because, I mean, to have attended an event in a different country is not something you can do without previous planning or luckily landing in the same, 3-mile radius of a.
Now, are these events near a port or an airport, or how we talked about that last week about it can't be near one. So
no, they're off actually. Like I put them on top of like the tallest mountain at like 4 a.m.
Awesome.
So nobody can verify if I was actually even there.
Right. Did you make it a 5-5? Oh, that's right.
You can't do that now.
You can't do that anymore.
Shame.
A 1-5, even though you
a 1-5.
No. Actually, so like I'm still trying to figure out. I have another day or two to figure out where specifically in Tokyo I can put it. Because Tokyo's hard because I need to pin down exactly where we're gonna be on our trip at a certain hour, and then just basically schedule. Hey, it's gonna be a 7 a.m. meet and greet, but I'm gonna run out of my hotel and zip down to this park.
See some folks.
Yeah, meet some people if anyone shows up for a half hour, and then I'll get on about my day.
They will.
Malaysia's cool because they actually have the Petronas Towers, which are previous world record holders for the tallest towers. And right at the base is like a huge like Central Park type park where when I was looking at the map, there was actually like 5 other events on other days. So I just said, well, I'll put my event there and add it to the mix. And
there you go.
It's actually 2 blocks away from where I'm staying. So I put it at 7 a.m. I figured I'd just get up and run out there and be done with my event. There's some caches around there too I can get. There's a virtual there, which is awesome. But yeah, basically, so they're kind of 2 completely different experiences planning, because in the entire country of Malaysia, which is bigger than Japan, I believe, is there's like 400 total caches in the entire country. So there's very few in any area that we're going to be.
Right. Pretty scattered out.
It's like go get everything I can. Now, Japan, you get to, like, we're going to be in Tokyo, which most of Japan, I guess, is probably pretty sparse, but Tokyo is just like every metropolitan area in the US where it's just cache after cache after cache.
Right.
And so I'm doing searches for, again, the oldest ones, obviously the like, get any virtuals I can, get any Earth caches I can, because Earth caches, you could probably just run up, take your picture, take a picture of a sign or something.
You can get the info normally you can get the info fairly quickly.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the easiest 5-5 to get in each country with where I'm at, or if that's even possible, just so that I have that. And then it would be really cool if there was like an easy where I go, because I would love to have a where I go over there, but I don't know if Malaysia has anywhere I'm going to be, and Tokyo I don't know for sure either. Or the hard thing with that is I'm not going to have internet access or cellular data access when I'm there. So
offline list, you have to make it into offline list, I guess, and not use cell data.
Well, I don't know if I can run the program even.
Oh yeah, no, you should be fine. You should be fine running.
I'm hoping. I'm gonna try.
Yeah, because the GPS in your phone will
still work. Yeah, as long as you download it ahead of time, you're okay.
Yeah, you got to have, but you're probably going to need to download those. You got to get those countries downloaded though. Make sure you get those downloaded to your phone.
Yeah, and that was the first thing I did was
because they don't
lists of everything within like a 40-mile radius of where we're going to be.
Oh yeah.
Cache Canada mentioned in the chat room that he's got a challenge for events in other countries. So he has a challenge.
There you go.
Up there. So that's so much to look at. You have to like Bruce Zero said, you got to sort of prioritize targets. So, all right. Very, very cool. So speaking of prioritizing targets, so let's get more into this, this trip that you went on, because, Jesse, I think it's incredible that you found, to me, it's incredible. Maybe I'm just not the hardcore. I'm not the hardcore geocacher, but you found over 800 caches.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right at 800. I don't know the exact number because I know it's roughly around that one. But
70 hours of caching. That alone's got to be close. That's a pretty amazing number.
It was. So, and to preface this, in case anybody tuning into the show now is new to geocaching, this is not normal. Right? No, this is not your 101 portion of this. Is the ones of us that have gone crazy and decided to do these kind of things. Exactly what Zach is talking about is what we did, and how this started. It actually started as a trip. We just wanted to go get the GeoArt in Idaho. There's a big train up there.
Right.
And we're like, oh, that looks awesome. There's like over 1,000 caches. We'll have to go back a couple times. Let's do this. It's not, and I don't have Idaho yet. I've never gotten that state. So that's how this started. Well, it's still cold there, and it's still like covered, and you can't go. So we're like, crap.
Right.
We've already got the days off. We got to go. So we looked at Oklahoma and Kansas and said, you know what? There's a lot that we can go down there and get, and there's a webcam, and we started. And then I was looking at my numbers and said, well, do you think we could get, in the days we have, if we went really, really hard, you think it's possible to get 500? And my buddy goes, man, that's a lot of caches in the time that we have. He goes, I mean, it's probably possible. Let me see what I can plan. And I said, well, good, because I want to get 600 because I want to get to 6,000. So and he goes, what, 600 now? You said 500 is possible, so tell me how we can get 600.
Now this is not staying in hotels.
Yeah, so that's basically what we said after that. He goes, okay, I figured out a way we could go get 600. I said, all right, what are we going to do? He goes, well, we can't stop. We don't have time to stay in hotels.
No sleeping.
And we're going to really, really be rough on our vehicles and our bodies for this time. So, of course, I was like, yeah, sweet. So then we started planning, and he's a county chaser. I like challenges, and so does he. So we both like those. Anything old we can get to, we we want to get oldest ones, in an area.
Yeah.
And we kind of all of it, and we wanted numbers too, which usually we're not ever doing numbers. But for this trip, we wanted to get, because I wanted to get to 6,000. So,
right.
So we started planning it, and we were going to just take one of our vehicles, and I'm glad we didn't. So we went a different route this time. We went and rented a car. Well, we got it for like $90 for like 4 days.
Right.
That's a terrible deal
little
for them.
bitty brand new car, just tiny, and I'm the small guy in the room. I'm the small guy in this thing. So
yeah, as Zach pointed out, that rental car company didn't get.
No, they didn't. It's like a brand new Nissan something or other. I don't know.
It was a brand new.
It was brand new. I'm like, oh my gosh. Neither one of us are really small guys, but we're like, you know what? That car sounds good. That sounds like a good hotel for the next 3 days.
You're not a leprechaun?
Yeah. I did. I don't know that. We couldn't fit another person in there with all of our stuff and sleeping. And so essentially what we decided to do is make it a pure caching trip. This is not a trip for the family.
Nope.
This is the two of us. This is like a Zach rated trip. Zach would do something crazy like this, right?
Oh, he would. Zach
no doubt.
Once you're done, I'll tell you about my plan coming.
Not with the girlfriend either, just himself.
Oh no, this was not this is you have to be psychotic to do this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So we literally drove. We left the first night and drove until we were just really tired. So about 1 o'clock in the morning, we pull over and
caching along the way, obviously.
Yeah, caching along the way. We did some caching going into Kansas that day, and we're picking up a couple counties, and literally just pulled over on the side of the road, leaned the seat back, and we brought sleeping bags, and just that was our hotel. And then we'd wake up, about 4 hours later, because you don't sleep well in a car, and just start caching again and caching and caching. And we did that from Thursday to Monday night. We took Friday and Monday off, and just kept driving the whole time. The only thing we stopped for was every once in a while to fill up for gas.
Right.
This little $90 Nissan Versa got 1 million miles to the gallon, so that was great. And
that's
then
awesome.
so it probably didn't smell great, but because we didn't stop at hotels, but truck stops are great, right?
That's true.
Take a quick shower, keep going.
Yeah.
So true. we probably slept about 4 hours a night and just cached all day. And it worked out great. We got tons of stuff, and it kept getting, like it was mentioned in the chat room. So we had this initial plan. Hey, we're gonna go get all these caches, and we have everything downloaded and backed up an offline list. And he was using GC Droid, and I was using Cachly, so we had double in case something happened, right?
Yeah, that's true. 2 different versions.
And then we got there and we're like, hey, this one county over, there's this kind of cache. and then we're driving through Kansas, and one of us, I don't even remember who, goes, hey, remember that challenge we signed last year where you had to have 8 cache types in 8 states? So we're only one. So now we got to find 8 cache types in this state.
Right.
So,
and you got to keep the counties going, because he's probably getting. Oh no, we can't leave the county yet. We got to grab.
So now
we're
trying to jump around between, and we had to drive an hour out of the way. So we had another hour in some more counties, because there wasn't anywhere it goes in the whole area, which I was about to leave the state because of that anyway. But so nowhere it goes. Let's drive way up here to another county, and then the webcam was out east. But luckily, we were picking up caches the whole way, so we had to drive way out of our way, because once you start, we almost got to an event while we were there, so that would have helped, but we couldn't get over to the event in time. So then we had to fly to go get a Where I Go and then an Earth Cache. But we got our 8 types, so it was great.
That's awesome.
And we were looking for any Earth Caches we could get and virtuals and old stuff, but it was great. We ended up 2,100 miles, around 800 caches. It's a little bit different for each one of us because we had both been through the area before. So, 93 hours of travel, 70 plus hours of just geocaching, just driving down the road geocaching.
That's intense.
Half the time was down dirt roads, and we just had all the windows down. That poor car. You can write your name on everywhere in that car, just all over the place. There's dust everywhere. I mean, that rental company. Hopefully they're not listening. Hopefully the rental company's not geocachers.
Right.
And then
they'd understand.
They'd be like, or never rent to us again, right? But
yeah, exactly.
So here's some of the kind of stuff you had to plan for. There was 60 degrees of change in the temperatures throughout this trip. It got down to 12 degrees and got up to 72 degrees as we covered Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. It was that much of a change during this weekend.
Wow.
We only had a few changes of clothes. I didn't think of that much of extreme, but we were in and out so much it didn't matter. But you do have to kind of plan for that. But we ended up hitting 40 counties.
Wow.
Now, not all of those were new counties for either one of us, but we still went and cached in 40 counties. 8 different cache types in Kansas, and we even got a few F55s, which sweet. And then we're driving through. It's like we're trying to get to a certain point before we go to sleep, and we're both just dead tired, right? We've both switched off driving. We just want to find somewhere where there's no farmer's going to come out and shoot us.
Right.
Sleep on the side of the road. And I had to open Cachely one more time.
One more time.
Sure enough, one of the cool features that's on there that I love, ding, an FTF.
Right.
I was like, hey, I don't even want to tell you this because it's like 60 miles from here. But that little symbol right there says FTF. We're like, no. But an FTF in a brand new state at like 2 o'clock in the morning, you're going to go for that, right? Then we did. So we got this FTF in a brand new state at like 2. These people are like, who is this? Who are these idiots coming through here?
It's not their normal FTF hounds. These guys are like, who are these guys and where are they coming from? Yeah.
But we didn't get stopped by law enforcement or anything, and we slept on the side of the road. I'm not going to tell everybody that's safe, but it was great.
Leo.
It was fun to do. So, and yeah, we got our FTF too. So it was great.
For those that don't know, if we haven't convinced you that if you have an iOS, you've got to get Cachely because you can't get this on any other app. If you just open Cachely and look on your map, you'll see all the different icons of all the different caches. And if it's an FTF, it's still FTF. It'll show up with a little FTF label on it. So it's already labeled for you. You don't have to do anything special, which is important for you because you're so far away from home. Some of us might have set it up under geocaching.com, to get notified, but you're not going to get notified for that unless you, like you said, unless you looked in Cachely. So,
and now you can, just a side note, if you know you're going to go and stay like Zach's going to Malaysia, he can change and get a notification for that area while he's there. For anything new coming out, he can set that up on geocaching.com.
Right.
And this one we couldn't because how cool would that be? He gets a FTF in Malaysia, right?
Oh no, I'm planning on it.
Did you set up your notifications?
I might get FTFs on Earth caches because I don't know if there's many local or any local geocachers necessarily. Like everything that's there is left there by people that have traveled there. So a lot of them are Earth caches. So there's Earth caches that nobody's found that have FTF that have been sitting there for a month and a half. So I'm hoping when I get there, in a few days that those are still available and I can go get an FTF, maybe even on an Earth cache. But I'm also planning on hiding a physical container. Some of the people we're staying with there, I've talked with about, hey, if I give you a few, 2-3 replacements of the same thing, would you be willing to, if I explained exactly where to hide it?
Right. Manage it for them. They'll manage it for you.
They were super excited because they enjoyed geocaching when they were over here in the States with us. So
that's cool. Then you'll own a cache in another country. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Somebody did mention that some people don't always log immediately. They put something, they sign the log and then don't go online and log. So you may show up an FTF and not be an FTF, but which is what we were sweating when we drove, an hour out of the way. But turned out we were lucky. There was a clean log when we got there. So I know some people do that just to be mean too.
No, but, Memphis just took that eraser and quickly
just trash it. Tear the top of that log off. We don't need that anymore. That's an extreme road trip, and not everybody likes that kind of thing. And I was dead tired when I got home. There's no doubt about it. I know Zach does.
Zach does.
Hey, Memphis.
So
that's an insane trip, and I'm super excited you got to do that. But let's be honest, by the end of this year, that'll be your second busiest weekend, right?
You are correct. Not everybody knows what you're talking about, but
yeah,
there are a couple trips coming up that Zach may be on one of them with me too.
I'm hoping. I want to be in on the plans for this, and I don't want you to go out of your way to, make sure I can get in. But like, you make your plans, and I might.
Oh no, we're gonna have fun with that one. But we have an extreme trip that we'll talk about on another show. But coming up.
Right.
But yeah, kind of on your weekend, how you did 800. I'm not quite doing 800, but what I'm trying to do, and this might intrigue you, is coming up. EJK PVR, I think he's in the chat room, and he's a Patreon on this show. But he and I are going to try to do 500 puzzle caches in one day.
Wow,
that's crazy. And is that line on the east side of your state?
Yep. And so we've solved all of them. We have them routed.
Yeah, it's true because they're not where they're not in the nice neat real row where the puzzle cache location
is.
Like
you're sitting there like
it's this kind of thing.
It's kind of like a like a castle, like a wall, the top of the wall. Like you're kind of doing a zigzag pattern
right.
like that on. So the nice thing is they're not all in one state either. So we're gonna get a ton in North Dakota, a ton in South Dakota, a ton in Minnesota.
That's cool.
And we're thinking of having an event scheduled for like 11:31 p.m. that ends at 12:01 a.m. in North Dakota because we both need an event there. And so we'll finish it at 12:01 and then we'll take off and log it at 12:01 and go about our day. So it might end up being 501 caches, but our big goal is because to be able to say, like people say, you've heard of 500. Some people have done 1,000 caches in a day or even more. But to save 500 puzzles, I think really,
that's pretty impressive.
Stands out.
Yeah, I think South Dakota is on my list this year too for another. We'll talk about it on another show too. But an upcoming
trip you went on might be your third best trip of the year.
Yeah, we'll see. Who knows what's going to happen? But those are those. Not everybody's interested in things like that. And you really have to be pretty committed and a little bit insane to do road trips.
Yeah. Also, you have. I mean, admit it. You have to do it with someone that just is 100% geocacher that just loves.
Oh yeah, and that's a good point. If I was going to summarize everything about a crazy road trip, and you can take any of these things and scale them back, right? Because some people don't like to get more than a couple caches in a day, but you want to go crazy, and going crazy to you may mean we're going to go for a weekend and get 75 caches.
Or the 24 hours and doing 24 caches in 24 hours. Some people haven't done that yet. That's a cool thing to do. It's just
and whatever your goals are, all of these things are good for that. So if you're going for a geocaching road trip, so we're not talking about caching while you're on vacation, like a true geocaching road trip, what Zach said is like probably the number one thing. Have a good person that has the same goal in mind as you do. You may have different goals as far as 5.5s or fizzies or jasmers, but they need to be going for the same thing you are. If you're just going to geocache and they're going to do something else, you're going to have some friction. You need a good partner to go with, and whether they're the planner or you're the planner, you both have to be going for that same goal if it's going to be one of these intense trips like this, which are great, and you can still cache on vacation, but and then do some planning, right? So plan it out or you're going to be disappointed. You're going to miss something. You're not going to realize you were this close to something else. Somebody in the chat room says we're going to have to come back to this because there's so much more to talk about. It's probably true. We are going to have to.
There is, Kuhn and Bud mentioned in the chat room about he's been very inspired by you, Jesse, to because they want to do 400 plus by his team of cachers where they're in Texas. So
and you can do it.
Yeah, let's see. Now, see, he can go to them and go, "Hey, Memphis did it, so why can't we do it?" Like, oh, that's tough, Memphis. Get mad at you because you actually pulled that off. And
hey, Memphis.
But go ahead.
So you're just getting this like fresh kick into the numbers thing just because I'm catching you, right?
Yeah, you're gonna have to go if you're gonna catch me because I'm having fun this year.
Yeah, no, I'm not, this year. You're gonna blast past me, but I'm the oddly, how am I the tortoise? But I'm the tortoise in this situation where I'm gonna slowly, over the next few years. But No, I want to have a few good trips. I don't have as audacious a numbers goals with total caches as you do, but I think it's really cool what you're doing, and I hope you make it. And I honestly think you're not just going to make it. I think you're going to blow past it.
We'll see. It's
neither,
about getting motivated, though.
Neither one of y'all are the tortoise compared to me. You gotta remember that. So,
but you know what? I've never
want a tortoise in the group
where I've gone for numbers at all, and numbers is not typically my thing. Not numbers, just the general number.
Yeah.
It's not just I always go for certain things, but in January I already had more caches than I did all year last year. Yeah. For the whole year, but numbers is not a lot of people's goal, and it's never really been my goal. But I wanted something totally different this year. Mm-hmm. That I've ever done before. So these crazy intense trips, I think, are going to be, and it already is. I'm already way more motivated. I'm having fun. I already know of at least 2 or 3 more trips I'm going to go to. I don't have as many megas this year that I'm going to.
Right.
Or a giga.
Or a giga. Yeah, shut up, man. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's an icon. That knife. Let me get that knife out of my back real quick.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like the trip that we're not going to mention now, and the trip to go up and visit Zach and Eric up there and do some caching with them would be those things, and that train in Idaho. Those are exciting to me because I may never do this kind of year again, but I want to have fun with it, and it's already worked. I'm already motivated. Not that I wasn't, but I'm reinvigorated and motivated. It's been fun so far.
Well, something you and I talked about before when you were down even was you. And this is something I think a lot of people, even in they're listening to the show, people are at all sorts of different stages of geocaching. Susan and I have geocached since 2006. So we're on our 12th year, 13th year. We don't have a lot of finds, but yet there's things about geocaching that still keeps us interested. Whereas if somebody who, and we all know somebody who, they've done, say, like you did, say they did around 5,000. And now if you talk to them, they're like, I'm burned out. I don't want to do it anymore. And we talked about that before. It's like, well, you might be burned out, but maybe you need to look at it from a different angle. Come at geocaching from like if you found 100 and listen to the show, I'm sure there's people that are, but you may have a whole different perspective. But that's okay. You need to keep a fresh sort of set of eyes on it and a fresh perspective. Come at it from a different angles. Like you, Electric Water Boys. There's people in the chat room. They found tens of thousands. But they've all decided that they love geocaching so much, but yet I'm going to come at it from another perspective. I'm going to do power trails. I'm going to do a double jazz. I'm gonna do a double fizzy, do a triple fizzy. There's different things you can do that get you excited. It may not it doesn't get me excited to do a triple fizzy. I'm not. Yeah. But there are things it might get Zach excited, whereas I may come at it from a whole different angle, and Zach may go, I'm not. That doesn't jazz him, but yet something else will get you excited, right, Zach?
Yeah. Well, like. I'm right now. It's kind of like you take. I kind of like now that I'm further into geocaching, and it's not like I got to kind of be a jack of all trades to qualify for as many challenges. Now I qualify for like most challenges I go up and sign. I probably pre-qualify for unless it's the Jasmer. So, but like right now, my biggest concentration is my streak that I'm on. I'm just approaching 500 days here. And like, can I keep this? Like, how long can I keep it going? And the day that I finally don't, then it's like, all right, close that chapter. I'm never doing that again.
Right.
Move on. But then it might be, okay, I have 3 trips I need to plan, and I finish my Jasmer. Maybe that's next year. Maybe that's that's my thing. And then, and you're planning trips around this. Well, then maybe it's, who knows, 2-3 years from now, I'm married, settled down, hopefully, but
right.
Maybe it's something crazy, like you set a crazy, like Memphis has set a crazy goal to get over 10,000 caches. Well, for me it might be more of like, could I do 10 countries in 1 year?
Right.
And it sounds crazy and incredible, but if you get over to Europe, you can take a rail system and go through a bunch of them all in one trip.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
then you could put out a challenge, and you could always say, like, I've done 10 countries in 1 year,
right?
And here's my proof.
Here's your proof, so you can put it out. Yep.
I'd have to have others that qualified for it.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
But yeah, I think geocaching is, you kind of have like these different seasons, and maybe each year kind of try. I mean, I think if geocachers try to have a different focus, it could really reinvigorate their game. And I think most of the avid geocachers that I know, that's why they've stayed in it so long, is there's kind of a new angle each year that they reset.
Yeah, it was something that we were all at Moga this year, and Ryan's in the chat room. I should hear a Moga from him. But oh yeah, there's Zach showing off his bling.
I don't have my bling with me tonight
from his victory. You probably moved the cup on, dude, didn't you, Jesse?
Yeah, I don't have the cup anymore. It had to move on, but my medal,
not that cup, the Moga cup.
Yeah, that's my wine cup.
But
the medal is not with me tonight, unfortunately.
That's okay. Yeah, you're in a different spot tonight. But the interesting thing was when we were there, something I did. This is again another trip planning thing to do. Was I was with Susan and I was with a couple of bucks and Derek, geocaching with Derek. His dad, a little bit older, still gets around pretty good for his age, but we kind of sat down and decided what did we want to do, at Moga that we could all do together as our little foursome. So we decided, hey, let's try to find as many cache types as we can in one day. Well, you guys were running around, and I know Zach, you did both. You competed and did a bunch of but for us, it was like, this sounds cool. Can we pull this off? And we start looking at, and people have done this, obviously. If you go look in Project GC, you can see how many cache types you've done in a day. But it came together in Moga, you could do, if you add in a benchmark and a waymark, which I did, you could do 12. But
or
you did actually,
and a Pokemon and
yeah, you could add all those. Yeah, if you want to get crazy. But you did even more. You pulled off the one extra icon. But the point though was, here's something that you may not be able, like, if you listen to this show and you're like, oh, I can't do what Jesse did. That's okay. But can you pull off something that excites you and gets you, it gets you planning, like we were doing? It's like, oh, can we pull this off? Can we actually get, hey, there's a Where I Go. Hey, there's a webcam. We're at Moga, so there's an event. There's an Earth Cache. You start adding them up. There's a letterbox. There's a traditional. There's a multi-cache. There's a puzzle. So you add them all up, and it's like, hey, we could pull this off. And so we had a great day getting out, and it was a challenge. I mean, we had to make sure, and we had to get them all done. Plus, there was an event that night, so we had to get back for that. But we were able to pull all that off, and so, like you're saying, you have a great accomplishment. Both of you guys have had different accomplishments. And it's something to look back on, and you can tell stories about. I mean, we still tell that story. You can tell this story, the rest of your life.
Yeah, I think most geocachers would agree with this. Think back, like, for you guys that have been geocaching for a while, but it's almost like everything, like Memphis, you're doing all this stuff right now to get that rush that you probably got even more of a rush the first time you got 10 caches in a day.
Oh, yeah.
The first time you got like 3 or 4 different icons in a day, because you really, like, I remember the first time, I think I got 8 icons in a day, and I was only like 2 months into geocaching, but it was because I was coming back from a road trip where there was like a webcam and a few other icons that my town didn't have.
Right.
And it ended with the first event I ever attended. And I don't know if anything will ever compare. I could find 100,000 caches in a day, and I wouldn't feel as accomplished as I did that day, finding all of those and pulling that off, and then meeting other geocachers for the first time. And I think all of these little goals that we're setting is kind of chasing that feeling again. The first time you get your fizzy loop, the first time for some it's the Jasmine loop, for the first time it's the first time you found more than 5 caches in a day. Whatever it is, like, we've all experienced that, like, really good sense of accomplishment and excitement. And I think in a way that, like, yeah, it sounds like the numbers we're doing are crazy, but it's kind of like, I mean, as Josh said in his first video, this is an addiction. So like we're further along in the addiction.
That's right.
Right. and that's the beauty of geocaching is you can approach them different ways and enjoy it just as much, you know.
Oh yeah.
Puzzle people, they go crazy and have a great time just solving puzzles. I mean, there's a lot of cool angles. Yep, go ahead, Jason.
I think you could, and that may be a show we do another time, but you know, when you're just saying that right then, Zach, when you're talking about that, I can still remember all those times when all those things happened, right? Your first cache, you get more than one type, your first 10 in a day, whatever, you know, the first event you ever attended or hosted.
Yeah. Oh man.
You know, I go to events now weekly, so they're like commonplace, but the first time you ever show up and walk in that room, you're like, who's going to be in here for these events? So even though we're not a 101 show, we still remember all those things, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We remember that stuff, and you know, it's great to remember that.
Here's a quiz question for you. Do you know where my first event was ever hosted?
Oh, I don't.
Denver.
Colorado?
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
I had two other people show up, and one of them, I forget their caching name, but they have I think the longest streak in the state, so maybe you know them offhand. But
girl or guy?
Well, it would be both. The girl showed up. It's a married couple.
Oh, okay. I think they may have discontinued that streak, and there's a girl now that has it now.
Okay, but the other guy that showed up, like there was one other person that showed up, Terry Purcell. So shout out to him. But TA 137, I think. But we ended up like I left the event, and I'm like, well, I was kind of bummed that I only had two people show up, and I was in this huge city. But he and I ended up caching for an hour and a half together, and he was like, you got to hit these ones. I'm going to get these. And he took me to like Denver's Best, all on his dime, all on his like car and everything. And we just chatted and chatted and chatted. It was so much fun. I actually videoed the whole thing because I was doing something for my YouTube channel, but I couldn't load that long of a video. It always crapped out on me, but that moment, like those trips, I mean, that's this whole show is about today is like the trips, and you know, you can do all the planning that we're encouraging, but there's always those unexpected things that you just roll with because you're a geocacher that end up being the best memories.
Well, I think you know, we're running out of time before we could even begin to scratch the surface of a lot of these topics today. But if it's about, you know, this crazy trip was about recapturing that same thing, revitalizing, right? But if we have to leave with just a couple tips at the end, I think Zach actually hit the nail on the head with it. If you're going for one of these crazy intense things and that's really what you're aiming for, have it, you know, be open and honest about the goals of the trip and have that partner that really wants to go on that trip with you. I would always recommend doing these with somebody else because just safety and, you know, if you're out driving and you're tired, you don't need to be running off the road. You know, you're pushing yourself to the limits on something like this. Have a partner that's willing to do the same thing. You know, not everybody is willing to sleep in a car and take, you know, do your showers in the gas station sink or whatever. But if you're both upfront about that and you have those goals, you're going to have so much better of a time. So probably for this first one, because we're going to hit this topic again, right? But if you're going to plan any trips between now and when we talk about it again, which we'd love to hear about too, but get you a good partner, and one of you has to be able to plan well. Start with that and be honest about the goals you want, and I think you're going to get a lot of success out of that. But so while we're on it, if anybody listening has any big trips coming up or recently did it, I'd love to hear about them because we're going to hit some more trips this year and talk about them. So
everyone let them know about the Giga.
Yeah. Don't send your information about the Giga in. I don't want to hear it because that's just torture, and I'm mad.
At Memphis What's the email?
But at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Send us some stories about your road trips that you've done or want to do, and we'll touch this topic again. You know, obviously, because we have some stuff planned for the year. So.
Yeah, and you know, if you need, like we had some for this show. If you have any questions, like if you want to know how to sort for park and grabs or whatever your thing that you needed was, you know, send us a note, and Jesse and I'll, if we don't know the answer, we'll go find an answer for you. So yeah, definitely Geocache Talk gmail.com. Definitely, we're open to, like you said, hearing about your planning, your trips, and if you have any questions or tips, if you need help with GSAC, I know people that are big GSAC fans, so we can get you in touch with the right people. So, all right. Well, last Sunday we did a audio puzzle. At least we did, and anyway, so first I need a quick apology because I forgot to mention where the audio puzzle was. I assumed people would go find it in all the places that we mentioned before, the iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, et cetera, et cetera. But next time I'll make sure and give people either a link or something. So I apologize for not mentioning where the audio puzzle was. But we had a lot of people who did the puzzle, who sent me notes that said they really liked it and enjoyed it. So, we'll probably do it again. Won't be anytime soon, but we're not going to do one monthly or anything. But we'll kick one in again. It won't be a show. It won't be in place of a show. We'll probably do one like in the middle of the week or something. But I did do a random.org, and the winner was Chris Clegg. And so, Chris, I sent you an email, and yeah, good for him. And so. He is not a regular listener, but he was fascinated by this geocaching oracle, and so it was a lot of fun putting that together. So we'll do one again, but not anytime real soon. But what is coming up soon? I want to mention the next 3 shows, and then I want to mention a couple of other shows that are a little further out. But next week we're having Geocaching Janji back on the show, and we're going to talk about blogs, books, and blue and big skies, because up where Zach is and where Angie lives even though it's not Montana, it is big sky up there in the Dakotas. So we're going to talk about the blogs. We're going to talk about she's a fairly she's now becoming more seasoned as a geocacher. We'll talk a bit about that. Talk about her caching as a family, caching with a toddler, and caching in the Dakotas. I think it's a fascinating area of the country. I haven't even been in North Dakota yet. I've been all over the country, and so I'm looking forward to making a trip up that way sometime. I have been in almost every state in the country. I haven't cached in every state in the country because I did a lot of those before geocaching, but I want to get up that area because that's a fascinating part of the world, and there's so many different fascinating parts of the country. But anyway, she'll be on the show next week. In 2 weeks, we're going to talk about the Texas Challenge, which is coming up, and we're going to have on. I'll give the answer to the Oracle puzzle here in a second. That's good. I had one person give me the wrong answer. Pretty much everybody get the right answer. One person give me a wrong answer. I'm like, I'm sorry, you have the wrong answer. But so in 2 weeks, Electric Water Boy, which I mentioned, he'll be on the show. D of Team D&D will be on the show, and BE Viking will be on the show talking about the Texas Mega coming up in Denton, Texas, which I will be there. Hopefully see everybody there. So yeah, not that Viking, but so we're going to talk about the Texas Challenge, which is a fascinating mega to talk about. And then in 3 weeks, we're going to talk about your favorite topic, Jesse, Gigastock, GeoWoodstock 16 with Jesse Tuttle.
I'm boycotting the show. I'm not even going to show up.
You got to show up for that. We got to talk about it. We got to talk about it.
If you'd like someone that'll actually be there.
Yeah. Maybe.
That's it. I got something else. This is about my time for bed. I don't know. I'm leaving.
Yeah, we're wrapping up. But the week after that, if I think we're still okay with it, right, Zach? You're going to be on in 4 weeks. We're talking about it's about the numbers. That's actually the weekend of the Texas Mega, but I'll be back in time, obviously, for the show. But Zach will be on then.
Yep.
And
new show. Yep.
Yeah, we got some great shows coming up. By the way, we've done a lot of work to prepare for some things that you really can't get anywhere else. And so we really strive to bring you shows that you may not have heard before. We are going to have the inventor of Ms. Pac-Man's going to be back on this spring. Keith's going to be on with FTF Magazine. Drives. If anybody knows David Reeves, he's that's a streak to shoot for there, Zach. He did it over for about 10 years. So
yeah, no, I would be up for trying, not necessarily the whole 10 years right off the bat, but
right later on. Yeah,
I don't have I don't have the caches in my area.
Oh, I hear you. Well, and it'll be fascinating to hear about his story about, all the caches. Most caches I have found by a cache from a cache owner is David. So got a cool stories. We're talking about took to David. Geo Paul's going to be back on the show this spring. So love to hear from him. Paul's great friend of the show. Love hearing about things going on in London. We're also planning on having Hendel back on the show. If you guys remember Hendel, he's our buddy in Germany. So we're going to talk about German geocaching, which I think is always a good topic. And Hendel wants to be back on the show. And so
that's like a national sport over there, right?
It is. Yeah. It is full on. German geocaching is fascinating. It's crazy.
I even meet anytime I meet foreign exchange students, like when I was in college and everything. Just the fact that all of their teenage and 20-somethings know what it is. A testament to how big it is there.
Right.
It's something that they've all done a couple of times. It's just
and they're not worried about getting hurt or sued or anything. They will do some crazy junk over there. I'm so jealous. Their 5.5s dwarf our 5.5s.
See, well, and that's I'm only half German, but that's the half that really comes out in some of my videos. Obviously,
there you go. Yeah, the Spider-Man of you. Anyway, so great shows coming up. So again, thanks for everybody in the chat room tonight. It was very lively. Thanks for all you listeners being out there. We do appreciate you guys. Send us an email. Let us know. Periodically we get one. We got one the other day from Switzerland. So nice. I love the fact that it makes our day to hear that you're able to hear the show, and
Did they have a strong opinion, or were they neutral?
They were fairly neutral on the show, but they love the show. No, they were very strongly. They were very strongly in favor of the show. So
yeah, my Switzerland jokes are cheesy.
Yeah, no, it's okay. A little cheesy. I like that. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Email us your comments, geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter @GeocacheTalk. Mine's @Gary Slinkard. Jesse is @Memphis_Mafia. And our man at the cache is @SodakZach. Facebook.com/GeocacheTalk. Show can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, as well as the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button below so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. Till next week, don't just talk about geocaching. Plan your trips. And then go geocaching. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Toodaloo.